Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Richard Duke. I'm a bassist and teacher here in San Francisco, and I'll be your host today for the San Francisco Winter Bass Bash 2021, the virtual edition. 2021 marks the 25th year of the Bass Bash in San Francisco. Now this is an annual event that was conceived of and led for the first 15 years by bassist Barry Green in a partnership with San Francisco Symphony. For the past 10 years, I've had the pleasure of organizing, preparing the students, and hosting this celebration of the double bass. So thank you very much for being here with us. Some of you may have been to or even performed at a bass bash in the past, and you would know our typical schedule runs from early morning into late afternoon, with student performances beginning at 9, our main recital at noon, and an advanced master class at 2 p.m. Today, our 25th anniversary program will be much more consolidated in scope, but hopefully wider in reach thanks to the internet. Our student performances are collaborations between different schools, and our featured performers come to us from across the Bay Area, the country, and the globe. Our first performer today is Xavier Foley. Xavier was here in San Francisco 1 year ago preparing his main recital performance for Bass Bash 2020 when the coronavirus changed all of our lives. San Francisco Mayor London Breed's public health guidance closed all city property just 1 day before our event, requiring us to cancel the Bass Bash. What you're about to see was recorded last year in an empty auditorium on the day the Bass Bash was scheduled, and it'll be followed by a performance of middle school students playing a piece that would have premiered last year, played by 3 students from AP Giannini, one of them being my son. This year, it'll be played by a number of middle school students from across the city, all recorded from home and brought to us through the magic of technology. So sit back and enjoy this fantastic program. Before we begin, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues at San Francisco Symphony's Music and Mentors program, Anastasia Herold, Jason Heath, David Horn, and Yuchen Liu. Now, let's let the bass bashing begin.
Hey there, bass playing friends and family. This is Dan Smith, Associate Principal Bass of San Francisco Symphony. I've heard of some incredible projects and pieces you all have been preparing over this last year that I can't wait to hear. And man, I'm always inspired by you all. After every bass bash, all the work and time you put into your craft is truly inspirational to me. And there's an incredible lineup of guests who are going to be there to perform, to encourage, and yeah, it's going to be an incredible bass bash, and I can't wait to see you all there. And we're going to have a lot of time to talk about the musical things and bass playing questions you may have in a few days, but I just want to send a quick word of encouragement. I mean, it's no new news that this has been a really trying past year for us all in so many personal ways. And especially in the arts industry, we've all been affected by this. And I've really struggled over this past year with lack of hope, lack of inspiration, fears, anger, so many things. And I just want to encourage you that we're not alone in this. I felt alone, and it wasn't until friends and family and other mentors reached out to me to check in that I started sharing, and they were able to give me perspective and encouragement and hope when I didn't have it. So really want to encourage you just to share your feelings and your thoughts with those that you trust and can confide in, and to also give back, because you're not just awesome bass players, you are bearers of a great gift of music. And that's something that this world needs, is just this beauty that you possess and a hope and something that transcends words, that transcends, the answers that we're looking for in today. And just really want to encourage you to share your gift of music with friends, family, random people, who knows, anyone, or do a Zoom concert, do something. But you all are great musicians, and something that this world needs are true artists that can give that gift of music and can give hope to people that are really in need of it. So yeah, cannot wait to see you all, to hear what you've been working on in a few short days. And until then, be well and stay encouraged.
Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. I have been living in China for the past year and a half. I have been teaching at the Tianjin Juilliard School. The COVID-19 situation here in Tianjin has improved. I have been able to teach lessons in person, and I have been able to perform concerts in Tianjin and in other cities in China. I have been also making music videos for solos and other interesting projects, and you can check them out on YouTube channel. The pandemic has affected all of us, and I cannot wait for us to get back to the normal way of living very soon. I know it can get quite boring to be locked inside of our homes all the time, but I want you to take this advantage and use this time to improve yourselves and to expand your knowledge and to acquire more skills. So when the pandemic is over, we come out as a better player and as better musician. I had the best times at the Bass Bash and at many Golden Gate bass camps in San Francisco. I enjoyed my time teaching students, performing with faculties, and making new friends. And I cannot wait to get back one day. I miss all of you, and I hope to see you very soon. In the meantime, please stay well and stay healthy.
Hi bass players, I'm Donovan Stokes and I'm super excited that you're going to be a part of this year's Bass Bash. When Richard took over the helm of this event several years ago. He had me out, and it was such a wonderful experience. And you get to meet a lot of other bass players, of course, and have a lot of fun, but you learn things that you really can't learn many other places about our most glorious of instruments, the bass. And in times like this, COVID and lockdowns and all that sort of thing, it's super important that we keep up our love and education of our instrument. It's a little bit challenging when you can't get together as a community, because music is essentially a community event. You play for people, you play with people, it's about coming together. But thankfully, we live in modern times where we have all this technology that we can do. In addition to these meetings by Zoom or online that you do, our private lessons, we've been doing a lot of stuff online, but we've also been recording with each other, something that we wouldn't have possibly done in other times. Someone lays down the bass line, someone comes back and plays the melody part on top of that with the bass. Also, TikTok. You can do great duets with people you've never seen before and probably wouldn't have met if it wasn't for people being at home with no concerts to play. So it's been excellent. So, find me on TikTok. Let's do some duets. And, when you're playing at home, sometimes you can mimic the experience of being both bass player and melody player by playing both lines at once. So I want to encourage you to reach out through social media, through Zoom, have some lessons, play some duets, make some recordings with your friends. And have a wonderful, wonderful bass bash.
But the next piece we're going to play is especially written for the double bass. And it's composed by the granddaddy of bass music, Giovanni Bottesini. This year is the 200th anniversary of Bottesini's birth. Now, Bottesini wrote a lot of bass music, a lot of it extremely difficult and virtuosic. He was like the sort of Paganini of the bass world, if you like. And so a lot of that music is, quite frankly, more suited to somebody half my age. So I'm going to play a piece which is slightly more sedate. And I think one of the most beautiful pieces that Bottesini wrote, and in actual fact, I think one of the most beautiful pieces ever written for the double bass. So this is the Elegy by Giovanni Bottesini.
back again. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. You know, many years ago, the first time I visited San Francisco, it was for an ISB convention. And I drove there and I spent the whole week inside of the university, and then I drove back home. And I never thought that San Francisco was going to become one of my second homes, a place that I love so much. And I love it so much because all the friends I made during all the bass camps and bass bashes, like this one. Of course, I miss seeing my friends in person. I miss conversations like I had with Rufus for many hours, with Richard, but we are here. And I feel like this is a perfect time to connect like this in the comfort of your place. This is my studio. And I'm so excited about the piece we are going to present next. Synchronicity was, it was commissioned by Richard Duke, and it was especially written for Amos and Charles. And let me tell you, this is one of the hardest chamber music pieces I've ever wrote. In fact, I never played it myself, and I keep wanting to do it because these two guys, they do it so well, but I know it's hard work. And the story, when I was writing this, I was, in that moment, I was experimenting with electronic music. I was playing with a dear friend of mine. We are still playing together. Electronic music, more experimental, and we were experimenting with a lot of loops and synth, analog synthesizers. And for some reason, I started feeling this kind of a hypnotic feel with the loops. So how a very tiny amount of information that was repeating led me to some kind of a trance effect. And I started feeling like if these loops could be alive, instead of repeating themselves all the time in the exact same way, if they could evolve, it would be amazing. And that's exactly what I was trying to do with this piece. So it starts with a very simple loop that goes on and on, evolving, changing all the time. So that's why it's so challenging for the brain. And it's mixed with my rock influences, as you can see behind me. Of course, I have more basses than guitars, but I do own a few. And has this rock flavor, some kind of a, in the middle part, there's a slow episode where the voices are mixing themselves. This is also an imitation of an electronic effect. In more, it's more like a delay with some shimmer. And of course, it sounds completely different, but that's exactly the idea. How to experiment and be influenced by something completely unique and completely different. And that could bring us to some new place, some refreshing moment. And I'm thrilled to announce that I just started working on a new duo for these two amazing musicians. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you keep enjoying these times, and I hope to see you more often.
I'm Anastasia Herold. I work at the San Francisco Symphony, and I'm one of the managers that sends your fabulous bass coaches into your schools. That's the amazing and incredible Mr. Duke, Mr. Jason Heath, Mr. David Horn, and the wonderful Ms. Yuchen Liu. I'm going to introduce the next act to you. It's a tribute to the famous and incredibly talented Benny Goodman, a jazz clarinetist. And it was written in honor of his 70th birthday. And I'm really happy to present San Francisco Symphony clarinetist Jerry Seamus and assistant principal bass Stephen Tramontozzi playing Benny's Gig. Enjoy!
Hello, fellow bass players. I'm Michael Manring, and I hope you're doing okay during this challenging time. I know how much I miss making music with my friends, but there's a lot we can accomplish when we're by ourselves as well. I really like playing solo bass music, and I enjoy it so much, in fact, that I had this instrument made to help me explore some of the ideas I like working with in solo bass. This instrument has several unusual qualities, but probably the most unusual is its capability for altered tunings. One of the cool things about the bass guitar is it's such a stable instrument, you can tune it any way you like, and you can even change tunings while you're playing. To get the most out of this concept, we put levers on both ends of this instrument, and this allows me to move through various tunings quickly and efficiently. I'd like to show you how this works by playing a little bit of a piece of mine called Tetrahedron from my new solo bass album, Small Moments. So I hope you're finding lots of ways to stay inspired and keep moving forward through this time. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you and hearing you when we can get together again. Thanks so much.
So I've seen this incredible footage of you opening this Chase Center with the San Francisco Symphony and with Metallica, playing this Cliff Burton tribute. This is like such an incredible experience. Just talk a little bit about that experience, and then you got the bass you played right there. You got some of the gear. Just tell us about how you put this thing together.
Well, it was, it all came together in a rather circuitous route, but and rather confusing too. I wasn't sure if it was even going to happen, but basically what happened is we were out on tour. San Francisco Symphony was out on tour, and they had just announced that there were going to be the shows with Metallica coming up again. And Michael Tilson Thomas pulls me aside in one of our tour stops and said, "Hey, we're looking for people to come up with ideas of different things to do if in this concert, just to try and use the orchestra in a different way. Do you have any ideas?" And immediately Anastasia popped into my head, and I said, I've got this thought, but I need to see if I can pull it off. So let me give it some time to think about it. And sure enough, got home and started playing around and getting different recordings of Anastasia and seeing how I could maybe make this work. And then I told Michael what I wanted to do, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds nice. Send it to me in an email." And then I sent it to him, and then they sent it off to Metallica to see what they thought about it. And then I wasn't hearing anything. Months go by, and and I still didn't hear anything. They said they liked the idea, but I still didn't have any confirmation. But I needed to prepare as if it was going to happen. So finally, that was in March of 2019, and then finally it was early July, I think, of that year that I found out that yes, it was going to happen, and I needed to be in San Francisco at the end of August before the show started rehearsing for the shows to play it for Metallica to sort of get a final approval on it. So. And so in the midst of all of that, I was spending time doing research on, of course, digging into his recordings, trying to transcribe it, trying to learn what he was doing, trying to figure out how I can integrate some of my own ideas, and also figuring out what kind of equipment I was going to use, because it was very much outside of my wheelhouse. Though I was familiar with Metallica. I mean, I played electric bass for many years and even played in a cover band. My first band was this garage band where we did Metallica covers. So I was familiar with the music. In fact, I had been listening to Cliff since I was like 15 years old. So it seemed like a great thing. I was very excited about it. But I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but it was a labor of love. Even if it didn't, it was still a fun process. And then it did. It happened. And here we are. It sits here on a stand.
And so you can't quite move with it the same way. You're a little bit kind of locked into your position. So, getting used to that. And but nonetheless, it's pretty easy to play. It's really fast. It's easy to get around it. You've got this little attachment here that makes it feel, you've got the shoulder for your reference points. There's another attachment that goes on this side that can make it feel like a shoulder there, but I didn't use that because actually I found it faster to not have a shoulder. And this is almost exactly as it was when I used it for Metallica, except for one difference. I have a different compressor. This is a dark glass compressor. The compressor that I actually used on the show was this one, this MXR compressor, which is awesome. But this compressor, their hypoluminal compressor, just sounds absolutely amazing. I just loved it. So I did realize that Cliff had compression. He used a harmonizer, which creates this sort of chorusing effect, which sort of detunes the pitch a little bit, gives it a more three-dimensional sound. And that's what this pedal is. This is by Boss, the Boss harmonizer. So this was shadowing me just a little bit flat of the note that I was playing, which is a little bit, especially as an upright bass player, we're always so, keen on trying to be in tune because, bass players have a reputation of intonation problems, right? And so here I am now intentionally detuning what I'm playing. And then this right here is the wah-wah pedal. This is made by Exotic. And I loved this pedal because it has a lot of it. You probably can't see it, but there's these little, well, you can down here, there's these little knobs. And so you can adjust the bass, the treble, and the bias, like sort of the sweep of where the different pitches in the range of the wah sound are in the sweep of the pedal, and then the intensity of it. So it has a lot of adjustability that a lot of wahs don't have, which I figured I was going to need using a wah on such an unconventional instrument. And then sort of the meat of this is this pedal right here, which is the fuzz. And that was, a big part of Cliff's sound. Now, I got pretty close to Cliff's sound. You kind of had to use his pedal, the Morley pedal, to get it, because what Cliff had done is he took a Morley fuzz wah pedal and he went inside it and took it apart. And Big Mick, who's the sound engineer for Metallica, has been with Metallica since Cliff's days, told me that he and Cliff together took that pedal apart and they altered it to get that really just dirty, gritty sound. But I found this pedal after trying a bunch of different fuzz pedals. This one I thought got pretty close, and it's a germanium instead of a silicone. It gave this particularly, dirty, gritty sound. And so after trying a bunch of fuzzes, this was the one that I thought was the best, and it's made by Ryra, which means, I think, rock your reconditioned amp or something. It's some like really small, probably some guy out of his garage in Texas or something. Anyway, but as soon as we plugged it in, I was like, that's it. That was as close as we were going to get. And so, and then I had this MXR preamp, which is, just good for sort of boosting the signal going into because we had, pretty long cables going into to get into their system. So, and then this pedal board is by Temple, and it's cool because Metallica really appreciated it because it was very quick plug and go for the stage changes. So basically, I had all of this gear ready to go, and this duct tape, these little duct tape things, that's the Metallica guys, their sound crew put these on so that we could come in. This one actually wasn't on there, but we could come in and they could just plug everything in just by color. Didn't have to fumble and try and remember which one was which. I'd worked out a lot of the ideas that Cliff had, and even especially when he gets into the faster section, a lot of that is him. And I really tried to transcribe and stay faithful to a lot of what he did on the original recording, and I throw a few things in from some of his live versions. But then I also needed to try and figure out what it was that I was going to do to impart my own stamp, I guess, on it, because I wanted to kind of feel like I was partnering with him, because he had influenced me for sure, and I wanted to just have my own little tribute in there. And so I'd spent a lot of time writing down different ideas, and I wasn't happy with any of them. And so then I decided, all right, forget it. I'm just going to start improvising. And I had my phone. I was in the basement of Davies Symphony Hall, actually, in one of the practice rooms, and I was on an acoustic upright. And I just turned on my phone and just started playing. A fair amount of the intro is based on this lick that Cliff would always play to cue Lars and let him know that the end of his solo was coming. And it's basically this. And he would play that in false harmonics. Kirk Hammett told me how he would do it, and I kind of figured that's what he did on the electric bass. He wasn't using natural harmonics, but artificial harmonics. But coincidentally, they happened to work in the natural harmonics, so I was very pleased to discover that. So that's essentially what I'm reaching up to at the beginning. So I turn on the harmonist. So I would start with something really low and ethereal. That's why I'm playing this fifth. And I'm kind of reaching. Playing this ninth. This is a reaching mode interval. Right here is where I first quote it. And then I alter it from there. I play a little chord. So you can hear it. And that's what I do here. I start just thriving on a riff, as Charlie Parker would say it. I start riffing on it. This is where I go into Cliff's solo, where he would... But I wanted to go in slowly. To me, it's him kind of calling out to his buddies, like, "Hey, remember when I used to play this lick?" I start to depart from what he did here. And now I'm going back to using some of these intervals that I used at the beginning. So there's some of these intervals from the beginning. So, and tension. And then here's where I wanted to turn on the fuzz. And that's when I go to the 4 chord. In the concert, you can kind of see me getting my foot ready for that when I'm playing. And then this is a moment where I quote one of his live versions where he does these arpeggios. Now this part, this run, I just kind of came up, I just made it up basically. It's just to create motion and effects. I'm trying to remember what I played. And then this is the moment where he really wants to cry out loud, and this is where I turn on the wah. And then I don't remember what I played there. I played some lick. So it's been years. This is the first time I'm playing it in almost a year and a half, so it's a long time. Anyway, and then that's where I start to, play this fast lick down and then go more into the solo, which is this is the most famous part, is when he goes into that's like the main body, and then from there out, a lot of it is just me quoting a transcription. The rehearsals with Lars were just so much fun too, because he wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this after I played it for him, and he's like, "So do you want me to play on it?" Like originally they were thinking that Rob and I would trade off solos, like Rob would jump in and we would jam together, and Rob Trujillo, the bass player from Metallica, after hearing it, he's like, "No, man, we need to let this just ride as it is. I don't want to mess with this." So it was so nice of him. He's such a sweetheart. And so then Lars and I ran through it a couple of times, determined what we thought would be the most comfortable tempo. Because once Lars jumps in, then Lars was on a click track just to make sure everything stayed kosher. So I was not. I didn't hear the click in my ear. And I was using these. I happen to have them right here. I needed them for something else the other day, but these are my custom, in-ear headphones that I had made just for the Metallica shows. So these ultimate ears, it seals your ear so that you don't hear the sound other than what's coming through here. And then there's a little hole on here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little plug that you can put in or take out that will change how many decibels of the room sound will get into your ear. So you can control how much of the room noise you hear or how much of the mix you hear. So that was really useful, and actually it was kind of cool because in the Metallica shows, I couldn't really hear a whole lot of the room. A lot of it was pretty blocked out, but I could feel it. And I got a sample of it when we did the rehearsals down in the Cow Palace, because they had the basically, similar sound systems set up and everything. God knows how many thousands of watts that was. And when I played it, like I could just feel it. So I knew what I was getting into. And so it was just Goosebump City. And so actually in the performances, both nights, when I got to that moment where I turned on the fuzz with the low chord, I'm actually yelling. You can't hear it, obviously, but I went, "Ah!" Actually, I'm yelling in that moment. So people are like, "Yeah, you look like you were possessed." And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." So.
Hello everyone, I'm Ron Gallman. I'm Director of Education with the San Francisco Symphony. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this year's edition of the Bass Bash. The San Francisco Symphony has been a proud co-sponsor of the Bass Bash for, some 25 years. The San Francisco Symphony is very committed to music making. We support music lovers, we support young instrumentalists, and of course we have a special affinity for the bass community. Through the San Francisco Symphony's Adventures in Music program, we provide 5 consecutive years of music learning experiences for every public school student in grades 1 through 5 in the city of San Francisco. And through our Music and Mentors program, we provide support and assistance to bands and orchestras in San Francisco's public middle schools and high schools. It's quite a commitment, but it's a wonderful one in that we are able to partner with our local school district. It is out of the Music and Mentors program that the Bass Bash began 25 years ago, and here we are, still going strong. So let's enjoy and let's continue with the Bass Bash.
Hello, my name is Yuchen Liu. I am a bassist with the San Francisco Symphony's Music and Mentors program. We would like to thank the student performed today and all of the music teachers in the San Francisco public schools who we have the privilege to work with each week. These teachers are A.P. Giannini Middle School, Mr. Heidman; Apatos Middle School, Ms. Contreras; DeMan Middle School, Mr. DeFunken; Francisco Middle School, Ms. Wong; Hoover Middle School, Mr. Woodcock; Kipp Middle School, Ms. McBride; Marina Middle School, Mr. Oswald; Presidio Middle School, Ms. Bailey; Roosevelt Middle School, Mr. Donahue; George Washington High School, Ms. Hendricks; Lowell High School, Ms. Horander; Ruth Asawa School of the Arts, Mr. Arnold.
Hello, my name is Dave Horn. I'm a bassist with the San Francisco Symphony's Music and Mentors program. We would like to thank the people and the San Francisco Symphony's Education Department for their ongoing support of the Bass Bash. Joseph Matthews, Rebecca Bloom, Ron Gallman, and Anastasia Herold. We also wish to thank our performers in today's Bass Bash for their generosity and artistry. Xavier Foley, Susan Wulff, Dominic Seldis, Charles Chandler, Amos Yang, Stephen Tramontozzi, Jerome Seamus, Scott Pingel, and Esperanza Spalding.
Thank you to the San Francisco Symphony.
Hi, I'm Jason Heath. I've worked with the San Francisco Symphony's Music and Mentors program over the years, and I want to give a shout out to the sponsors for today's Bass Bash. A big thank you to the Northern California Chamber Music Academy, Parastro Strings, D'Addario Strings, the Acoustic Bass Shop, Steve Swan Double Basses, Zhang Guitars, and Lemur Music. Thank you to all the teachers involved with this event and putting it together. Thank you to Dave, Yuchen, and Richard for all the work on the bass front, and a big thank you to the San Francisco Symphony for making this happen.